question that has come in from Juan on YouTube, and I'd like to answer that on video here because it's not really a very simple answer to put in a comment, and it's really something that's going to need a little bit of coaching. So thank you, Juan, for the question here, and I'm going to read it right now. The question is, what to eat for breakfast and for dinner before going to sleep? Is it better to break a fast with high fat and minimal carbs and protein? How about bedtime meal? High fat, low carb? I have heard that in between high protein works best. Love to hear your opinion. Thanks. All right, Juan, again, great question. A lot to unpack there, and I'll try to answer a few of these the best that I can. It's this really what is in your question there is something that would have to be answered in a coaching session, okay? Because there's no one answer for everybody. I mean, here's if you were my client and we were here talking, here's some questions that I'd be asking you. You know, why are you doing the intermittent fasting? I assume that you're fasting because you said break a fast. So what's the purpose of it? Is the purpose for weight loss? Or is it the purpose that, you know, to feel more energy? Do you feel better? Do you just enjoy, you know, you're not hungry in the morning and you just enjoy eating that way? Is it more about cellular cleanup? Is that why you want to do the fasting? Is it about ketones because your brain turns on a little bit more? There's a lot of reasons to do fasting aside from ideas of losing weight. Now, I'll assume here for a moment that the reason is that you want to lose weight, okay? So then my question would be, you know, do you really enjoy fasting? Is it something that's easy for you to do? Because in the end, fasting does have some, some things that can help your metabolism, maybe to help with weight loss. But in the end, really, the biggest thing, like the biggest needle push for fasting that I have found is just that you're not eating any calories. Okay, you're not eating any food. One of the biggest problems with us being overweight, people being overweight, I used to be there, it's overconsumption of food. And when you restrict eating the food to a certain window, you're probably just not going to eat as much of a volume of food. Okay, so take that as you will. You just kind of go down that angle there as far as fasting goes. Now, as far as what to break the fast with, so you asked a couple questions here, like, is it better to break fast with high fat and minimal carbs and protein? How about a mealtime or bedtime rather? High fat and low carb. You know, I've heard that high fat or high protein between works best. Okay, let's define what works best is here. Works best for who? Okay, and works best for what? Works best for energy, works best for weight loss, works best for all those things that I had mentioned before. So really get clear on what that is, and also in the end, for who? Okay, works best for who? We're all different. I can tell you right now, one of my clients, they don't really like doing fasting. So they don't need to fast. And then do you higher protein, these things are, if you get into, I guess the way I'm trying to say it is this. If you write it all out in a book, okay, there's no perfect strategy. You might be trying to be a little too perfect with the spreadsheet, if that makes sense. As far as like what works best. Does this work best? Does this work best? You have to kind of test and see what works best for you, okay? Now, there's some general guidelines, okay? General guidelines, protein's going to help you lose weight, okay? Think protein all day long. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. If you have any snacks, think protein. Okay, protein, protein, protein. I've done videos on protein, why protein helps us lose weight, boosting metabolism and everything. I'm sure if you go to my channel and do a search, protein, there'll probably be a number of videos that pop up. As far as carbs go, now that a little bit depends on you. Now, they have shown in studies, okay, that we tend to process carbs a little better. Like we're a little more insulin sensitive in the morning and during the day versus later at night. So in that regard, you could say, okay, well, maybe you could have your carbs a little earlier in the day then, and then you save for less carbs for dinner. But me personally, I feel better when I have less carbs during the day and then I eat my carbs at night. I have a sweet potato almost every night. My daughter the other day said, Daddy, you really like sweet potatoes, don't you? And then my sons all started saying that too. But I do. Murasaki, I believe is what they're called. Sweet potato, absolute favorite. Anyways, if I eat carbs during the day, okay, then I have to, the way that I feel, me personally, like how I feel, if I eat them and I don't move much, like if I come in here and do videos like this and I sit at the computer and do some work and stuff, and I'm not really moving much, I'm not exercising, I get tired and I get brain fog and all of that. But if I just focus on protein, as far as fat goes, we'll touch on fat in a moment. But as far as like protein goes and carbs go, okay, carbs for me slow me down. Now, if I am going to exercise, okay, then I'm okay with eating some more carbs, because especially if I lift weights, I want to replace the glycogen in my muscle. That's the stored glucose in the muscle and everything. So you have to kind of figure what works best for you. I kind of have this mentality of like, well, if carbs make me tired, well, why not eat them at night before, when I'm winding down? I don't want to say right before bed, because I don't eat right before bed. You eat early enough that you don't eat and then say, okay, good night, right? What do? We eat, and then my wife and I, we might go for a walk. I might go in the backyard. I'll throw a few hoops just to kind of get a little bit of movement after my dinner. And then we sit down and we watch TV and we go to bed. And if the carbs make me tired, well, I'm going to sleep. That's what works for me. That might not work for everybody, okay? Now, as far as fat goes, you can check a video that I did. I might have linked to it. No, I didn't link to it. I'll try to link to it in the comment section there. But I did a video on, one possible reason why your weight has stalled out. And that might be fat. Listen, when it comes to carbs and low carb and keto and these things, all right, remember that these numbers are based on calories, okay? In the end, it's how much energy are we burning? And if you use something like the Carb Manager app or something, it might tell you how many carbs you want to stick to and everything based on what you told it are your goals. But guess how it's calculating those carbs? It's calculating them by first calculating your calories, and then it breaks it down into the percentages. And then it gets the number of carbs, protein, and fat. All right? If you eat too much fat, fat is very calorie dense. Okay, more so than carbs and protein. So if you're eating a lot of fat, then it might be that you are going to maybe burn fat for fuel, but you're burning the fat from the food, not necessarily from you. Okay, totally can be a little different for everybody here. All right, I won't lie. There's people who eat high fat and they lose weight. Okay, again, different people, different scenarios, different metabolic health, different movement, different exercise, different states of happiness and stress. But in general, again, if I were your coach, we would be sitting here having a conversation about why are you doing high fat? What's the mentality of the high fat part? Okay. So anyways, I hope this gives you and everyone else who's watching the video a little, some little rabbit holes to dig and go down. And, maybe provide a little bit of clarity for you. Okay. Thanks for the question, Juan. Really love it. Keep them coming in, and we will talk to everyone later.